All right, so thank you once again for joining us for another great Money Monday. We've had some great topics in the last few weeks within the group as we talk a little bit in terms of where you are, where you want to be, and not to necessarily go too heavy into the politics itself, but we're coming against our next administration. And so I think oftentimes people think of how did these people get this job or how do they get to the next level? And oftentimes it's not actually what you know, but it's who you know. Do you know the right people to guide you on the right path? Because there are so many intelligent, powerful, dynamic women within the group. And it really goes to show that you can get to that next step. But you might just need to know what steps to take in order to get there. So, we have a great expert with us today. We have Ebony Johnson with us today. And so, really, what she's going to be able to do is share a little bit about these political appointments. And oftentimes we hear about the big names. So we hear about some of the bigger names and we're like, oh my God, that person isn't qualified. Or we're looking and we're saying, how the heck did they get there? How did they get chosen? And sometimes it's putting yourself in a situation to be chosen and understanding that you might already possess the needs and all the things that are required in order to be successful in a role. You just have to be in a situation to take that. And so, really and truly, as we look through, Ebony Johnson is the CEO of Career Connections Pro. So, we love our business owners, our CEOs. She provides one on one coaching to job seekers to develop roadmaps to help them land their dream careers. And co chair of the Montgomery County Interagency Commission for Homeless. She also is a grant writer and reviewer, writes and edits resumes, business plans, marketing proposals, brochures, bank loan requests, nonprofits, so basically everything. So definitely I have tagged her, and as always, her contact information will be listed. So we want to make sure that you're reaching out as you need anything and as you're looking to grow, and especially as this information is of value to you. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Ebony.
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Today, I wanted to be very interactive. So anyone that's on Facebook Live or in the Zoom, please feel free to interrupt and ask questions as you see fit. So at any time you can interrupt me. I do not mind. And again, let's get started. So first, President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they are seeking people to fill these political appointments. As you can see today, they actually filled the communications position. So it was all women on their communications team, and that's for the president, the vice president, the first lady, and the first gentleman. So again, it's very exciting. We are transitioning. There is lots of room for change, and they're looking for you. So don't be afraid to apply. If you haven't applied yet, please don't be afraid to apply. Now, the theme for the administration is restoring American leadership. That's a very strong and powerful theme, and that's where they're going. So don't think that your skills are not relevant or that you're not worthy for the position, because you may be exactly what they need for specific positions. Now, are you confused about where to get started in landing the political appointment? So I'm going to try to make this easy, lay it out simply for you, and go step by step on the 10 steps to landing a political appointment. Now, the detailed information about the political appointments is on their website, which right now is called buildbackbetter.gov. And then you can go under Join Us, and you can see the application for the political appointments. Once the administration transitions into the White House, it goes from their personal website to whitehouse.gov. Now, whitehouse.gov will list internships, the fellowships, and also all of the political appointments and commission positions for you to volunteer for. So be ready. It's ongoing. So it's not just at the beginning in December, January. this is an ongoing process, so you can continuously look at the website and apply for positions as needed. And again, on the website, it actually lists out what they need, how to apply, and then it'll provide all of the contact information for you.
Now, Ebony, I know they usually talk about some of the bigger positions we know. What are some of the positions that maybe we don't or aren't as familiar with?
So the thing is, the positions that we hear about are typically the secretary positions, his cabinet. So you may hear like the secretary of HUD, the director of NSA, and you know, like the secretary of education. So those are the big level, the top level positions where you'll see them on the news, you'll see their faces. So the positions within the government agencies, if you go to the plum book, which I will provide anybody the actual template for the 10 steps, and then it has all the detailed information. So there's a book called the Plum Book where it actually lists out, and I'm about to open it so that way I'm not lying to you. It's called Policy and Supporting Positions. That's the official name. We call it the Plum Book, but if you click the link that I'll provide to you all, it says Policy and Supporting Positions, and it actually lists out the type of positions, like the categories. So you have like the executive schedule, you have the senior executive schedule, you have the senior foreign service positions, and you have Schedule C. And then you have other positions where we call like GS 14 and below. So those are not executive positions, those are the day-to-day non-management worker positions. So the different types of appointments that you can get are, you have the presidential appointment with the Senate confirmation. And that's pretty much all the secretary, the cabinet level, the ones that you hear about. Then you have the career appointment, which is basically like a job, like program analyst, management analyst, you may have accountant, you may have budget analyst. So those are career appointments, but it's typically term limited based off, career appointment, you can stay on at the government agency even longer. So even after the administration leaves, with a career appointment, if you're able to land that, you can stay on. Then you have the term limited or limited term appointments where that's specific to the administration. So once the administration leaves, you'll probably have to leave or transition into the career appointment. And then you have the limited emergency appointments, which basically that's based off of need. So like COVID. So right now you see how the president is gearing up and pulling people to respond to COVID. So that might be an emergency position where they're hiring immediately and it's specific to COVID and to responding to, let's say, FEMA. If we had an emergency, we had like an earthquake or we had a hurricane, they may hire specifically to address that situation. And then after that situation, you're gone or you transition into something else. And then you have Schedule C, which is the accepted appointment. And that's where they just hire you based off of, let's say, disability or special circumstances. And then you have the appointment accepted by statute. So there's various ways for you to get in. I think sometimes we hear the one term and we see everybody on TV, but we don't realize there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Now the positions can vary from administrative, like you could just be an executive assistant to one of these directors. You could be legal, so you can be part of the legal team. You can be program analyst, is very broad, where it could be any position. Program analyst just basically deals with certain skill sets. Like you might put together PowerPoint slides. You might be in charge of a specific program. Budget analyst is dealing with the money, the finances. So you have various, so whatever your skill set is or your job focus there. And with the Plum Book, you can actually see, most people don't know this book exists, but it lists out every single position, everything that's available within the government. And not only does it list out the position, It also lists out the salaries.
Now, I have a question that says, Tamika says, what if you are a government GS employee already?
So that's a great question. So if you're a government GS employee, you can take the gamble and apply for the political position, but understand you're coming out of your career position and going into a political appointment, which once that administration leaves, your position could possibly leave, or you can transition back into that career position if you have the time, or you can reapply for a career position. The other thing that we don't talk about much is you can volunteer to be part of the transition team. So I'm an actual GS employee. So I'm on a GS pay scale. I'm a career employee. My job and role has been to volunteer to help with the transition. So you can do that. So look at your agency, look up your agency's transition team and see if you can volunteer for a rotational assignment on that transition team. So then you can build those relationships and still keep your GS career position.
We had a couple more questions. Someone says, how does student loan forgiveness factor in? I guess this goes to some of the student loan forgiveness that is connected to working in government.
Yes, so that's the thing. You want to make sure that you communicate with the HR, because if that's important to you, 9 times out of 10, you're already working for the government or a GS employee or a nonprofit employee. So you can communicate with HR to see if the political appointment will factor into your loan forgiveness. And if so, that's something to seriously consider and think about, or you may be eligible to continue like the public service, because even as a political appointee, you're still serving the public. But please make sure that you contact HR for the specifics of that. But again, I'm thinking if you're going along those terms, that you probably want to apply for the GS position. Now, here's the thing. It's okay for you to apply for government positions. So say, for instance, you know the political appointee, they're probably a director or at the senior level. So they may know someone, or they may be able to help you to apply or get direct hired at that government agency.
And that's great stuff. So someone says, are these only full-time jobs? Any opportunities for consultants?
So that is another great question. As far as consultants, if you go to the presidential transition site right now, the one thing that you will notice is majority of those people working on the transition team are all government all contractors and consultants. So yes, there is opportunities for consultants. That's all about who you know, networking, making sure that you get to know people from the presidential transition team to see how you can work with the team, what you can do to help, maybe on a volunteer basis at the lowest level, but also on a paid consultant basis, because remember, the presidential transition team, they still have the political side of it as well. So you may be able to get paid from the political consultant side. And then as they're transitioning, they may have opportunities for government contracts as well.
Now, Ebony, you mentioned that you're volunteering, and Kim says, are there opportunities to volunteer for the transition team if you're not already working with the government?
Yes. So, and that's the thing is right now, they weren't using government employees. And my assumption is that they didn't use government employees because they didn't want us to have the conflict of interest. So again, you can connect with anyone from the presidential transition team and ask them how you can help. And I always say volunteer first. It's okay to volunteer and not get paid with a purpose, or you can just ask the team, what do you need? Can I help you? It could be anything. It could be an administration. It could be, let's say, cyber outreach. It could be COVID relations or issues. So whatever you think your skill is or how you can help, contact the presidential transition team. And I'll tell you a secret, they're all on Twitter. You can contact them. You can go on Twitter right now and look up the presidential communications team. Every single one of their Twitter handles is outlined and highlighted. You can DM them, you can message just to connect. You also can look people up on LinkedIn. Of course, you can go to the official site, but they're people, they're human. You can reach out, connect to people that are connected, and actually find ways that you can help or volunteer or work with the administration.
Now, Crystal has a great question. She says, do you have to live in DC in order to qualify for these appointments?
So the beautiful thing right now is that we're all working virtually. So primarily people, yes, you do have to be in DC for certain positions, but government agencies exist in all of the states. So you can be regional, not so much overseas, but as long as you're within the United States, you can volunteer. And again, you can look at where you fit. So I'll give an example. The IRS, HUD, Social Security Administration, Department of Defense, we have agencies in all of the states. So you can get a political appointment and then you'll be serving from where you are. And that's something that you can negotiate while you're looking for different positions and volunteer opportunities.
That's good stuff. And Tamika, that probably touches on your question as well, because Tamika says, does the volunteer work happen in all states or certain cities? So I guess you kind of answered that one as well for Tamika. So you don't have to move.
No,
You can
not at all.
enjoy where you are and still take advantage of these opportunities.
But we definitely will welcome you to Washington, D.C. And again, most people, when they think politics, they only think Washington, D.C. But remember, you have to service the other states as well. So do we have any additional questions?
Not yet, but I'm sure they're coming.
Okay. So, and keep the questions coming. Again, I like questions, so don't be afraid. I'm here to answer whatever comes to your mind. Now, the number one question that I normally get is, what does the resume look like? So I will tell you a Google secret. You can Google President Trump, political appointees, President Obama, political appointees for that specific agency. I would go deeper and say, President Obama, political appointees for HUD, President Obama, political appointees for Department of Defense, so, or President Obama, political appointees for Department of Homeland Security. You will get their resumes. So that's one thing that I want you to know is once you apply for a political appointment and once you receive that political appointment, all of your information can become public. And normally various watchdog organizations request the resumes and they post it online. So you're able to pull those resumes and actually see what the previous people and previous appointees actually submitted to get the jobs. And again, you can Google that specific job in that specific agency to see exactly what you need to do on your resume and cover letter.
And so what kind of things on the resume would someone want in order to stand out? So if you're reaching out via Twitter or whatever, and you're really looking to stand out amongst the crowd, I'm quite sure there are hundreds, if not thousands of people applying for these opportunities.
So, and that's true. So you want to stand out. So the number one thing, you have to be strategic about these political appointments. So for the Biden-Harris administration, volunteering on their specific campaigns, contributing to their specific campaigns, that's a direct connect because I volunteered, I helped, I supported this specific campaign, but that's not the end all be all. You could have also volunteered and supported other Democratic campaigns. Now, I need to be specific on that. Do you have to be a Democrat in order to get the political appointment? No, but it's definitely helpful. And 9 times out of 10, the political appointments are party specific, but again, that's not a requirement. It's just, it's highly likely you will get the appointment if you're affiliated with the party. So again, the direct connection by volunteering with the campaign, the Democratic connection. So you may have been part of the Democratic Party. You may have done some field work. You may have done some get out the vote or voter outreach. You want to highlight that you were involved, that you are politically connected, all of your work. Now, this is the only time for a government position that I would highlight all of my political work is on a political appointment resume. If you're going for a GS position, like a career appointment via USA Jobs, I wouldn't necessarily put all of your political affiliations. I would focus more so on your work and your skills. Now, on your political appointment resume, again, you can go to the Plum Book, which I will provide you that link, and you can look at the specific positions, titles, look at the requirements for that specific position, and then target your resume for that position with that skill set. And again, pull resumes from people previously assigned to that position so you can see what type of skills they were looking for. And if they put out an announcement, what you want to pay attention to are the requirements for that position, any key skills, any education that's required for that position.
Now, this goes back to the volunteer. So it says, how would you recommend getting started as a volunteer with the transition team? Is it better to pick a specific task, area, or be more general?
I would be more general because most times they need, or if you have a specific skill. So let's say your focus is STEM, or maybe it's social media outreach, or let's say because they just hired the communications team, they might need media specialists or publicists or, you know, people that are in that arena. So then you can look at that specific skill set, or you can say, I'm willing to serve. Whatever you need, I'm willing to do, but be targeted. So you can watch when people tweet, when they talk, you can kind of see what they're interested in and how they move and who they're connected with and how they're connected, because you could possibly volunteer to be part of their staff.
And then can you apply for multiple positions at once, or do you have to apply separately and get turned down for one and then shoot for the next?
You can apply for as many positions that you want to. So starting from the high school level, because some of you may be trying to prep your children, you can apply for the internships. At the college level, you can apply for the fellowships. And again, most times you'll find those on whitehouse.gov. So even if you go to whitehouse.gov right now, the Trump administration still has fellowships and internships for high school, college, and those typically 2 years out of college. And then we also have the Presidential Management Fellows Program, which is geared towards those with graduate level degrees and within 2 years of their graduate level degree. So you have that opportunity that's ongoing. You're able to apply. I can definitely help you if you want to go in that direction. Then you have the political appointments, which that's ongoing as well. So you see, we have the transition team coming on. So we're focused more so on transition and gearing up those positions. But then once those people are hired, which typically they'll be the directors and the senior level officials, they need staff. They need people on their team. So you may see ongoing positions for that. You can apply to as many positions as possible. And also while you're networking, you're submitting your resume, you're submitting your cover letter, which sometimes we talk about cover letters. That could be your email. Like, hi, I'm seeking a political appointment. This is who I am. This is my background. So you can put all that information in your email to the person as well.
And we have another, Kim says, will the 10-step approach that you're going to share with us go through the process to volunteer with the transition team, or do you just get that information from the website?
So you get that information from the actual website. So the thing about it is they will tell you what they need and when they need it. But to dig deeper, because I kind of went off of the 10 steps to make it more personal to you guys, to dig deeper, when you talk about volunteer, so say for instance, you want to volunteer for the transition team, Google is your friend. You can look up the presidential transition team, but also within your agency, typically they have a transition team. So you can contact some of your senior officials at your agency, look at your newsletters at your agency, but also look up your agency's transition team to see who you need to connect with in order to volunteer. Now, within the federal government, you're able to actually volunteer for a rotational assignment. And many people don't know this, but you're also able to volunteer for rotational assignments outside of your agency. And this is where relationships with your senior management comes into play, because they typically have to approve, but you can volunteer for, let's say, GSA, OPM, FEMA, or the various agencies with permission, as long as they have a place for you. So say, for instance, you say, oh, I want to support GSA because they're hot right now. You can look and see if maybe they need help on their transition team, and see if you can coordinate a rotational assignment for 6 months working at GSA. You're still assigned to your previous agency for the transition team. Also within your own agency, you can volunteer for the transition team at your agency. And again, sometimes they don't put the word out, but I can guarantee you your agency has a transition team in place, and then you would connect with that team and then think of how you can serve that team or serve on that team.
Kim, this is a really good question. Kim says, how long will the transition teams be in place? Will they run beyond the inauguration, or is there a finite time for the transition team? People want to know how long they're going to have a job.
No, so the thing about the transition team is, yes, their focus is on the transition, but typically your political appointment is term limited. So you'll know how long you'll have the job when you get hired. Now, for political appointments, the best case scenario is the whole entire time of the administration. So you know you have a job for 4 years. The one thing I want you to know, though, is once an election comes, once a new administration gets put into position, it's time for you to transition. So all of the Trump administration appointees, and you can see on the news and you can see it's being highlighted, they're starting to transition out. So they'll probably be gone by December. Many have expressed that they're leaving by December 1st. And then typically the new appointees come in January. But I've seen people get political appointments all the way through to August for the senior level director positions. And then also, I have personally witnessed people get political appointments throughout the administration. I mean, all the way up until recently, people were getting appointed politically because it's ongoing, rolling based off of what we need in the government.
And then Kim, she sent some further clarification. She's talking about for the volunteer opportunities. Do those last longer than kind of just the transition? So just these next few months, that transition time period, or are those volunteer positions longer positions as well?
So it depends on you. It depends on that specific volunteer need. And again, there's always ongoing, because if you serve me as the director, or, you know, as the manager or the lead for a certain volunteer role, and you're good, I'm going to want to keep you on and continue my relationship with you, and then think of various things that you can do. So it's not specific to a timeline, it's more specific to your relationships. With volunteers, all about your relationships. And I want to be clear about volunteer roles. So you can volunteer, let's say, on the transition team. So if I serve on the transition team, that's a volunteer role. And I may have to keep my full-time job and then do part-time transition team. So that might be 16 to 20 hours a week that I'm volunteering with the transition team. The other thing is commission or serving on boards. So that's also volunteer work. So something that I may pursue would be serving for the Veterans Administration. So I want to serve on a board for the Veterans Administration. So that's a volunteer role. I would apply through whitehouse.gov for that board position, or sometimes the VA will post the various board positions, but you're still serving the president. And that will be that might be 2 years. It might be a 2-year commitment. Something else that I'm currently on is like the HBCU initiative. So each of the agencies serve the White House. It doesn't matter the administration. It could be the Trump administration, it could be the Biden-Harris administration, but we serve for White House initiatives, specifically for outreach to the HBCU initiatives. That's a volunteer role. And what we do is just do education and outreach and making sure we're communicating with HBCUs and addressing their needs.
And then Serena has a really good question. She says, when submitting an application, if you select multiple agencies or skill sets that you're interested in, should you draft a general cover letter or select one specific role and tailor the cover letter to that particular role and agency? So in her example, she says she has a legal and a public policy background. So should she do something more generic or something a little more focused?
Well, it depends on that specific job that you're targeting. So it sounds like she applied through, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but she applied through the transition team website and selected multiple roles, and that's fine. So then you just have to quantify why you would be eligible for the multiple roles. So I would do generic and highlight your specific skills, because they may be able to use you in various capacities. But if you're targeted, I would update that cover letter and update that resume specific for that targeted position. But again, if you're going for multiple, like I have skills in policy, I have skills in legal, I have skills in XYZ, then yes, you can just briefly highlight those specific skills to make your resume more attractive.
And then Serena says, thank you. That's exactly the question she was asking. And she says, and she went more generalized. So she's glad that she did. So Serena, hopefully we'll be celebrating your appointment.
Yes, please. And again, someone asked me, well, do you have direct connections? Let me get in the door. And here's the thing, right now he's gearing up. So right now we have an idea of, let's say, who he's going to recommend, who President-elect Biden is going to recommend for political appointments, let's say at the cabinet level positions. Right now, he's put in place his communications directors. Again, those people I would want to connect with, but he has no idea, at the lower level, because we have thousands of positions that are available. So it may be you. So don't discount yourself and don't think that you're not eligible. Apply, apply, apply.
And Kim talks about she's looking to volunteer for the transition team and hopefully get some contract consulting work down the road. Is that a good strategy? Is that what some people do kind of as another bridge to get to their next destination in their career?
Yeah, so, I love contractors. I fully support small businesses. Today is Cyber Monday. So if you haven't, shopped, make sure you support our Black women-owned small businesses today. And yes, for consultant roles, first of all, if you have not connected with the SBA.gov, connect with the SBA, because they are there to help you, to assist you, to tell you how to get, certified, to tell you how to get connected. And of course, we're always pushing for Black women-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses or disabled-owned businesses to get the contracts. Many of your government agencies actually have contract offices, and we have like outreach events to talk about the various contracts. And again, you can connect with the administration, but typically if you're working with the administration, it's going to be on the government contract level. So connect with the people that can actually get you in the door, which is SBA.gov. Score.gov also has mentors, because they may have various mentors that have been in that capacity. And you could be specific to say, I'm pursuing political type contracts or geared in this direction. And then another one we never talk about, but also that's beneficial, is the SBDC, Small Business Development Centers. They also can help you get your package together for the government contract solicitations, some of the connections, networks, and they also have people that are connected to help you get in the door specifically to government contracts.
We have another question. It says, can people that are federal employees also refer people to appointee positions?
So you can refer, so they can definitely use you as a reference. But again, the one thing, like if you look at my profiles, you look at my history, you'll figure out that I'm a Democrat. Like you'll figure out that I'm a Merge Maryland graduate, so you know who I'm connected with. So if you refer a person please make sure that your background is clean. So when they look for you, they don't see that you were the chair of the Republican Party, or, you know, something that may be damaging to that political appointment. Because again, you want to make your next move your best move, and you do want to be careful who you're associated with. So if you are a reference, how are you connected, and how are you going to help that person to get in a position? Are you the director of someone's campaign team? Are you connected? Like, have they volunteered for you? What have they done for you? And how can you help and advocate for them to get them in that position?
That's good advice. Don't be don't be the reason they don't get the appointment.
Listen, and that's the thing is, so I've been on the other side. So the reason why I can speak on this is because I've been on the other side of selecting people, but also one of my roles is to help train people. So as you come in to the agency, training some of the senior execs and some of the directors and political appointees. And the thing is, you do have to be cautious about who you're connected to, because when we do like the background investigations or really try to screen people out, Google is still your friend. Looking at Facebook profiles, Twitter, LinkedIn, looking at a person's background, and most people know each other. So like if you are politically connected, people know who you are, or know about you, or know of you, or know the person that's connected to you. So say, for instance, I say, oh, you know what? I'm connected to Congressman John Doe. 9 times out of 10, they're going to call Congressman John Doe to say, hey, do you know Ebony? How are you connected, or who is she, just to learn more about who you are as a person and if they should hire you in that position.
And then we have clarification on that question. She says, can someone refer someone directly, or if they make that referral, does that person still have to apply?
People can direct hire or refer. So I'll give an example based on the Trump administration, because that's who I've seen directly. So right after President Trump was appointed into office, let's say we hired the CIO, and then the CIO bought his whole administration. So he directly brought on contractors that he was affiliated with, and also a team that he was affiliated with, like some political appointees, and that was based off of his connections. So he was the CIO at the top. He's the top, and then all of those political appointees and contractors were people that he had relationships with, or people that had relationships with other people he had relationships with. So that's typically how it works. So yes, you can direct hire. Yes, and that's the flexibility of the political appointments. And also they have like special appointments, which means I'm the director and I hired this person specifically to be my administrative assistant or my executive assistant as a special appointment. And that person is assigned to you as long as you're there. But once you leave, that special appointment doesn't exist anymore.
That's good stuff. We got through all the questions at the moment. I'm sure more will be coming.
And again, part of the 10 steps, because step 1 was just the resume. So we kind of went through the resume. And if anyone has any questions about the resume or the format, again, you can Google and you can see the resume, or you can contact me and I can go through step by step the resume and the application process. We talked about like the summary of qualifications, the overview of like your government administration experience and any campaign experience. You want to highlight government leadership. And then again, any government leadership experience, any party affiliations, and any community leadership. Let's say like you're part of the Greater Washington Urban League or Greater Baltimore Urban League, or Democratic clubs, or any type of volunteer or community service that you've had. Then you want to be, again, is like a definite highlight on leadership accomplishments. The one thing I see sometimes we diminish ourselves and we don't highlight how we've led or how we serve. But if you're going for a political appointment, let's say at the director level, which that's a 6-figure salary, you're in a director position, you're in charge of programs, you want to highlight how you can lead that program, how you can help that agency, and how you can serve and why they should pay you those big bucks. Again, you do want to ensure you have public policy experience. Now, we say this, but also it could be any experience. Again, if you're serving as an executive assistant, you don't necessarily need public policy experience. It may be just the willingness to serve, the ability to use Outlook, the ability to schedule and coordinate meetings, the ability to manage multiple projects. Those may be things that you highlight, and you can see that based off of the position. So look at the position requirements specifically. You do want to highlight your awards, your recognitions, your affiliations, and board leaderships. So let's say like I serve as the commissioner for the Interagency for Homelessness for Montgomery County. That's significant because we completely eliminated veteran homelessness. So if the president cares about veteran homelessness, he's probably going to hone in on my resume and my work with the commission. We also are working towards completely eliminating family homelessness. So, and then we're going to, singles, and then we're going to youth, but those might be significant to the president. So I would highlight that my affiliation with the commission, that I serve as the chair, and the work that we've done, because that would be significant for this specific administration. Then you also want to understand that specific agency, their mission, and kind of target your resume to that position and to that agency. So an example would be like Department of Homeland Security. They may be targeted on Homeland Security, or, specific to things dealing with like immigrant issues or dealing with transportation. Department of Defense, they're focused on the protection and security of the United States. So they may be focused on, let's say, maybe your military affiliation or background, or if you've been affiliated or worked in Department of Defense capacity, or let's say HUD, they may be focused on housing. So if you've done any type of housing or community work or grants, or any type of like loans, home loans, or, dealing with the finance, you can highlight that and specifically target HUD and housing. Also like Department of Transportation, like if transportation is your passion, or FEMA, if you're into disaster recovery, like, or dealing with COVID, you have to know who you're targeting. VA is hot right now with COVID and trying to hire people for IT, for healthcare. So then you would, again, target the VA and talk about your work with veterans, but also talk about your work in that space. And then also, my number 8 step is looking up the senior executive in GS15. But I will give you the link to the plum book so you can see all of the SES and GS15 positions so you can target, but it also lists some of the GS14 and below positions just in case you're not ready for the senior level. But I do encourage you to go after the senior level, especially if you have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to land that job. Don't second guess yourself.
And Kim says, so that's one thing, as you say, go for that position. Kim is thinking, should she wait to apply and submit her resume until after she's had some chance to look at some of the prior resumes, or is it important to get into the mix sooner rather than later?
Well, of course, the early bird catches the worm, but I will quantify and say that hiring is ongoing. Like even with the Trump administration, they literally still were hiring people up until the presidential election. Like, because when a person goes out, because sometimes political appointees go out, maybe they running for office or they have other priorities, they need to bring a person in. So it's ongoing. You can look, you can kind of scrub and you can apply for political positions at any time. And of course, for government positions, you can apply for government positions at any time as well.
That's it so far.
And then, so number 9 was the cover letter. So here's the thing with cover letters. We go back and forth in the HR community about cover letters if they're obsolete. So a cover letter would pretty much just highlight like your connections, your roles, your responsibilities, you know, why they should let you in the door. Now, my thought process is that your cover letter is covered in an email, in an initial introduction. Hi, this is who I am. Or you could be more formal. I normally always start emails off as greetings or, you know, good afternoon, sir, ma'am. That's fine. And then highlighting who I am, why I'm contacting them, my specific skills, and then I'll tell them my resume is attached. You can go both ways. You can definitely do the cover letter, be very formal, put all your information in the cover letter, have a tight resume. But again, it's not necessary to do both if you're sending email. And right now, most of the things are virtual and email. And then for the political appointments, to include the position titles and salaries, I've said this a few times, we started off with that, is going to the plum book so you can be educated on the specific positions, the type of appointment, and the salaries for every single government position. This is updated every 4 years, depending on the administration, because sometimes it's 8 years if they have a second term. But the last time the plum book was updated was 2016, when the Trump administration came into office. So you can look to see an update to that once the Biden-Harris administration comes into office. I know I said a lot, so do we have any questions on that?
Well, no, we did have a question that if there are any slides or what have you, but your 10 steps, is that something that you have that we could share with the group?
Yeah, so I have it all typed out, listed out verbatim. So that way you don't even have to think about anything. I listed it out, and then I also have all the references to include resume examples from the Trump administration, because they're the newest administration to get the political appointments. And again, one thing you'll see on the resumes is sometimes the people don't have any skills at all. And that's not to say anything negative about any administration. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So if you served as a campaign director or a field director or a lead volunteer for the Biden-Harris administration, that probably will give you a lot of leverage when it comes to political appointments and being connected.
And then someone says, I see that the transition website allows for a general resume and cover letter. Do you suggest applying for multiple positions there or when they're also posted online?
So you can do both. There's nothing against you doing both. Right now, you have leverage because I can promise you most people that jumped on that website don't know about the Plum Book. The Plum Book tells you every single position. All those positions are probably coming available because the previous administration is vacating those seats. So you know the positions, you know the titles, you know the salaries, you know the agencies. So you can target because you know the positions, but you also can just do a general if you don't care where you go. But I would not recommend that because the thing is, most people that are targeted, most people that are prepared and kind of know what they're pursuing are able to attract that position. When you go general, how do I know where to put you or how I'm going to select you if I'm the selecting official? Versus if you're targeted, now I know your specific skills, I know exactly what you're doing, I know how you can serve my agency. And if you pull up the Plum Book, I know that you actually prepared and you're thorough in your application process.
And Serena says another group mentioned that there are resume banks And she said, for example, that are associated with certain affinity groups. Do you have any information on how to locate those? Are there any tips for accessing various avenues for getting your resume in front of the right stakeholders and hopefully push to the short list? So definitely back to that kind of how to get up above anybody else and make sure that you're the resume that people actually see and
Yeah.
see.
Well, so I will say this again. Who you know is definitely the key, specifically for political appointments and sometimes for government appointments as well. As far as the resume banks, I'm very tied into like the Young Democrats and various like Greater Washington Urban League and Greater Baltimore Urban League. So you can reach out, you can look at their websites. Sometimes they do have like positions, resume banks, like where you're allowed to submit your resumes. Of course, for the Biden-Harris transition team, you can go to their website, submit your resume. I'm a part of WIN, which is the Women's Information Network. That's another great plug and great network where we post jobs and opportunities, and you have the opportunity to connect. You can look to see who was part of like the Biden-Harris team and look to see who you can connect with and who you can send your resume to. If you don't have any connections, I will give you this tip. If I'm serving you in office, like your congressional rep or your Senate rep or your state delegates, you can reach out to them as well. So you can say, I'm a constituent, I'm looking for a position within the administration. Can you back me? So those are the people that you go to, and this has nothing to do with political appointments, but also you would go to your congressional and Senate rep if you want to get invited to the inauguration. So they're your key, they're your plug, they're well connected. And you can go to their websites, look up constituent services, and just communicate with them and say, I'm your constituent, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you advocate, do a letter for me, or can you refer me for positions? And I know we're speaking about federal and political appointments, but don't forget, you have appointments at every level. So you have the political, which is all the way at the top, which is the presidential, but you also can consider maybe local appointments at your mayor's office, at your congressional rep's office, your delegate, like serving as a constituent liaison, serving as a volunteer coordinator, serving within their office, because it also could help you in the future to get connected at a higher level. So don't be afraid to reach out to them and just ask them how you can serve specifically during this transition.
Now we do have another. It says, will the Plum Book also help navigate volunteer opportunities? Will those be listed in there?
No, the Plum Book only lists the specific appointments. And basically what happens with the Plum Book is everything we do in the government is controlled, is voted on. Congress is screening through, looking at all the positions, because we're also talking about compensation. So you're looking at the budget, you're looking at who you hire, how you hire, the manning levels. So the Plum Book is specific to every single position, political appointment that we have at government agencies. If you're looking at volunteer roles, going to the campaign sites, because sometimes they have the transition site, but then they also still have their campaign site. So you can see, you can volunteer. Going to the transition site, you can just submit to volunteer. You can send an email, but also again, Twitter is a great way to connect, just to say, I would love to volunteer. Can you connect with me? It is Kamala Harris like literally is calling people and wishing them happy birthday or thanking them for their support based off of tweets and Instagram. So it works to get you connected as well.
Serena says, thank you. This was really helpful. So thank you, Serena, for being here.
And thank you so much. I appreciate you guys showing up, and I truly appreciate all the questions. I do know one question that came up was security clearances and background checks. like what's required. So I will briefly go over that. For government positions, yes, we do background checks. Typically, the lowest level is public trust. So that's your basic background check. And then we have higher agencies. So let's say the National Security Agency, the CIA, the FBI, those are higher clearances, so your top secret level. But staying at the public trust level, yes, they look at your finances, they look at your references. For education, so if you're going for a GS position, they may require like education and certain credentials depending on the position, because that's a myth. Everybody thinks that you need a college degree to get government positions. That's not true. It depends on the position and the level and the requirements. So if you're going for, let's say, IT, which might be computer science or cybersecurity, you may need that degree in computer science and cybersecurity. But if you're going for an administrative position, you may not need that degree. It may be 10 years of experience or 5 years of experience. So be careful about that in eliminating yourself. I would say apply and look at the education requirements, because most jobs do not have an education requirement listed. So if it doesn't have it listed, you don't have to provide the transcripts. You don't have to provide the your education information. All you have to do is apply for the position and quantify your skills. The other thing, as far as the background check, so financial, let's say you struggled a little bit, got behind on your student loans, even filed for bankruptcy. The biggest thing is don't lie. So if you had financial issues, explain that yes, you have financial issues and how you overcame them. Like I had financial issues, but I was able to pay XYZ off and now I'm fine. The other thing is your references. Please make sure that you screen your references and let your references know that you're using them, because they will talk. The one thing I will tell you is most times they'll talk to your reference and then ask your reference who else you know. So be cautious of that. Like people think they're hiding on Facebook and hiding their information. Most of the time your reference will throw you under the bus. No, most times your references will unconsciously say who you know, and you might not even know the background investigators are contacting those additional people. So that's part of the background and reference check. And then as far as your education credentials, if you think that'll help you, just have that ready, have your transcripts ready to submit for the government positions. Again, for political appointments, depending on the level, you may be heavily scrutinized because the government doesn't want to be embarrassed. But don't be afraid of that. Just make sure you have all your ducks in a row and all the information available to apply.
So since when they're doing that background, they're chatting with your friends. So if I say Ebony is my reference, would it make sense to say, and Ebony, if they ask, tell them to call this person, and then you already kind of have your list of people that person would go to next.
Well, but that's the thing. I have to be transparent with you guys that they ask that question. So yes, that's why it's important to communicate, because say for instance, you have some questionable friends, which I hope none of you have any questionable friends, but just in case you do, imagine if your reference says, oh yeah, contact this person. And then this person is like, oh yeah, you know, we did drugs, we did this, we did that, which happens a lot. You want to make sure that you're careful about who you're referring, like who is serving as the reference for you. You do want to be careful about that. And regarding social media, I am going to say this and I will stand on that mountain. Be careful about your social media. It does not matter whether you use your government name or not. 9 times out of 10, your mama is connected to you on social media, or your friends, or the people that you used as reference, or there's a way like image search, because you know we can search via images, or someone's tagged you and used your real name someplace. in this internet world. So be cautious and just do a scrub. Just Google your name so you can see what's out there if somebody Googles you, but also do a scrub of your social media profiles if you have things that are questionable or that may discredit you.
It's good stuff. Especially if you've been on Facebook for a while, you might have to, go through your memories and all those kind of things.
Things from 1998. and that's the thing is, do people always go that deep? No, but one thing I can tell you is it's very intense right now, right? With the political world is very intense. So imagine if I said something that was harmful 10 years ago and someone pulls up that tweet. So I may think nothing of it. Oh my goodness, it's just Twitter. But guess what? People have gotten fired or pulled because of things that they've said in the past. So just be cautious and clean it up. If there's anything out there that may discredit you or, may discredit the government.
You might have to have a session just on cleaning up your online profile.
like I said, it's happened because Twitter is probably the most common. People get mad at you. So the thing is, it may not even have anything to do with you personally. It may be that they're just trying to find weaknesses in the Biden-Harris administration, right? So they're going to look for anything possible to target or discredit. So again, if you have something out there, like on one of your 30 profiles that isn't right, you can start cleaning that up, deleting, just so, especially if you get a political appointment like at a senior level, you don't want people to come back and tell you something that you did or said 10 years ago on MySpace or Black Planet. Delete the profile.
If you can still get in. That's probably an email that you don't even use either. I think mine was my AOL email address. So
and that's but it's something that we don't think about. But again, just based off of the current political climate, it's highly likely that things like that could come up, like just embarrassing type things. And for any time you apply for a job, specifically a political appointment, you just want things to be clean as possible. So, just make sure you keep it professional, keep it kind of conservative. If you're seeking a position, especially at the director level or any political appointment, and even for government positions. So we always talk about finances, but people rarely talk about like your social media presence and your personal branding.
That's good stuff.
So do we have any additional questions?
Nope, that's all our questions so far. We've gone through a bunch of them at this point.
Yes. So again, my DMs are open. All of my contact information is available. I will send to you the actual 10 steps guide. So that way you can send out to everyone everyone that registered or anyone that's interested. And I'm definitely here to answer any questions. I can even help you walk through the process. Like if you need help going through the application process or just have any general questions, I'm definitely here to help. And I'm typically very responsive. So the best way to contact me is via email at ebony@simplyebony.com. Or you can DM me on Facebook. You can send me a private message on Facebook.
Well, perfect. And we have tagged her in the video. So definitely when you go in the group, you'll be able to see her and you can just click on it and reach out. Kim makes a great point that even if you delete it, it might still be out there. So just be careful what you post, even when you're thinking, okay, nobody's going to see this. I feel like sometimes it's one of those kind of parental things. And I find myself telling my nieces and so forth, like, no, even on Snapchat and all that kind of stuff. Kim says, Kim has one more question. She said, do we specify we want to volunteer?
So you can specify, you will see things pop up. Like whitehouse.gov is going to be your friend. They will have like volunteer opportunities, commission opportunities. The transition website will also have transition team opportunities for jobs. And then you also can specify that you want to just volunteer, you don't want a paid position. And then also, again, connecting with the people. Like, you can send a general inquiry email, or you can direct connect. So most people's contact information is not hard to find via Twitter and LinkedIn. So you can directly connect and just ask them how you can volunteer for either their office, or the transition team, or how you can help. And even for the inauguration, because that's coming up, right? Again, if you want to go to the inauguration, send a request to your Senate representative or congressional representative, and they have a link on their website for the inauguration. But you can volunteer for special things like that, like helping them to prep for the inauguration.
I love it. It'll be freezing outside, so layer up and volunteer on.
Get your minks. You know, you asked the question, like, how do you feel rich? You know, get your minks, get your scarves. But we were out there for President Obama. We were out there for the inauguration, and I'm certain that many people may want to go out and support this administration, or they may also do virtual opportunities for the inauguration as well.
I'm sure this is going to be an inauguration like none other that we've ever seen as we kind of continue to navigate this unprecedented time. So there's opportunities, especially if you know anything about social media and online and broadcasting from various places. And all those things are new skills that probably weren't as important just a few years ago, and all of a sudden a lot more important.
Yes. And again, I'm 1,000% available to all of you. We can connect in a group. If you have additional questions, DM me, email me, any questions. No question is a dumb question or a stupid question. You can ask me anything and I'll respond. And if I don't have an answer for you, I can research to get you the right response.
And if you get that appointment, please let us know. It doesn't matter if you're volunteering, get an appointment. We want to celebrate you in the group. We want to hear your story, hear your journey. So please don't let it end here. Please make sure that you share with us. So we'll know how the journey went as you're going through it. But definitely, we would love to have some connected people and be able to celebrate you on your journey as well. So we would love to see more women in those cabinet positions, in some of those appointed positions as well.
Yes, and again, thank you so much for the opportunity and the time, because we just had the conversation and you said, do you want to come and talk? So I appreciate you allowing me to speak to all the women today. And I really am looking forward to seeing more of us in those seats at the top. So please let me know how I can help you. I look forward to seeing many of you serve, and any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to me and ask me questions.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ebony. Kim says thank you. This was great. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. And then, of course, if you have additional questions, please make sure you reach out to Ebony. Make sure that you get your seat at the table. We are beyond due. So we want to get what is due to us. So I want to thank you all for joining us again for another Money Monday, and look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.